Yes, indeed, folks. My name is Tall Biscuit.
My name is Ariana.
This is Blue.
Please.
Blue.
Please.
Blue.
Shush.
Please.
What?
You're supposed to then say blue?
No.
Or something. I don't know.
No.
That's why it's funny.
You've broken it.
You're the one who did the combo breaker.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did.
No.
Sure you did.
Do the show.
Okay, sounds good. Zul'Gurub, we went and did it, didn't we?
We owned it.
Like last week. Those of you who are not aware, for the last month or so, I've been talking about Arcanist Belt, which is our project. Yes, we have a project, and it involves the old school raiding. We have a guild full of level 60s, and we're doing old school content using old school talents and old school gear. And it's pretty fun. Yes, we are doing it. That was the point. Thank you for accenting that with the oh-so-useful piece of information.
Yay!
Facepalm. Anyway, we've been doing Zul'Gurub, and we... No! Bad! Wrong time!
Sorry.
Oh dear. So yeah, we did Zul'Gurub, and we pretty much went through it in an evening with the level 60 guild. And we didn't really have too many problems, I must say. We cleared the entire place. And what we would like to do, specifically, and this is probably going to happen as we go through the instances with Arcanist Belt, we'll be doing a little bit of a series on the retrospective. Now, the idea is to look at the old instances through the eyes of someone who is not totally jaded and perhaps not wearing a very, very large pair of rose-tinted beer goggles. So, we're going to start with Zul'Gurub. And we're going to have a look at it boss by boss. We're going to have a look at some of the mechanics, how some of those mechanics actually influenced the changes that came in future content, and how it compares to today's content, and then coming to a conclusion as to whether or not our previous view of Zul'Gurub as being OMG awesome was simply rose-tinted spectacles, nostalgia, and a whole lot of smoke and mirrors. So, let us get started. What is the first boss that we killed in Zul'Gurub for 20 points?
Venoxus?
Venoxus, correct answer. You win a prize.
Where's my prize?
The prize? You can have this credit card.
How much money does this credit card have on it?
£3,000. Can I have it back now?
No, it's mine.
No, that was silly. You can have this authenticator. I'll trade
That's my authenticator.
Yes, but now you can't get into your account. What's worth more?
Well, technically speaking, I could sell my account.
What's worth more from a sentimental perspective?
Well, let's see. I have how many... Give me the authenticator.
No, give me my credit card.
No, give it. All right,
this is what happens when you get women in your life. They steal all your credit cards and your monies.
This is turning out to be like Titan, and I'm not having you ruin another show. That's what he said.
Well, that is what I said.
Do the show.
Quite. Venoxus. Venoxus is the boss that most people do first. It's not the boss that you have to do first by any stretch, because Zul'Gurub is a little bit non-linear like that. I.e., you can do the bosses in pretty much any order you like. But Venoxus is the general starter for 10, and is not particularly hard.
You stand in the fountain and go pew-pew.
Well, pretty much. It's like, you stay out of the clouds, you kill the ads, and you kill the boss, and that really is all there is to it. But it does have a phase change. He goes into phase 2, does a lot more damage, and drops poison.
Indeed.
And parasites.
Kind of similar to, well, as far as drops poison, kind of similar to some other bosses we may or may not have seen in future content.
Such as?
Oh, I have no idea. Maybe not a single boss out of Nax at all.
Yes, quite. Perhaps in the Abomination Wing?
Never.
Oh, absolutely not. Yes. He's not exactly the most inspiring boss, is he? Let's face it.
Only because it doesn't last very long, but keep in mind, when we did this boss, you know, back in the day, I mean, it was pretty...
Well, it was harder because we did less damage back then, because the talents that we now have available, regardless of how hard you try and avoid the new stuff, you can't. They've revamped a lot of stuff, so the power grade has gone up. But even then, he was pretty much a walkover.
Well, first bosses generally are. That's why we used to do him first.
Yep, certainly the easiest boss in there. But yes, possibly the inspiration for some of the mechanics behind Globulus, otherwise not a particularly inspiring encounter. However, it does feature crowd control, which is something we have not seen in Wrath at all. And indeed, I believe there was some of it in TBC content, but not that much.
Well, there was some crowd control. I mean, if you want to look at instances like SSC, for example, you had crowd control. I mean, I don't think you could particularly...
Carrot I suppose, did.
Vash? Crowd control a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Phase 2 Vash, I believe, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I mind flayed more than one Strider in my day.
Indeed. I saw that happen. Now, next boss. High Priest S. Jeklek, as I recall. The Bat boss.
Indeed. Back when the bats used to bomb, and then they took the bombing bats away, and then brought the bombing bats back to the great... Not so much dismay, actually, we were quite happy to get those ads back.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're fun.
Yeah, I like those. Jeklek was actually quite complex, and did screw over quite a lot of people. It had ads, which couldn't really be crowd controlled. You had to just catch them and AoE them before they charged all over the raid. She had a charge, she had a silence, she had a chain mind flay, she had a heal that you had to interrupt. Now, was that actually... you can remind me about this, because you actually did this content before I did, back in the day. Was that the first boss that you saw that had a heal that had to be, like, interrupted?
Yeah, actually it was.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Lucifer didn't have one, Mag didn't have one, Gehennis didn't have one, Gar didn't have one, Geddon didn't have one, Shaz didn't have one.
Yeah, nothing in MC had heals that you actually had to kick as a rogue.
What, didn't the ads on
Major Domo?
Major Domo have them?
That's a great question. Maybe someone in IRC can help us out.
Yes, indeed. Maybe, maybe not. But it was definitely the first boss which healed. And it was a pretty major heal. And, of course, we had phases in that as well. We had certain transitions with aggro resets that had to be dealt with. The transition between the troll form and the bat form. It was quite challenging, as I recall. And, of course, phase 3, the inspiration for which boss?
I have no idea.
Bats, bombs, which boss?
Bats and bombs.
Bats and bombs.
I have no idea what
Lady Vash.
Oh.
Lady Vash Phase 3. There you go. That was the inspiration for Lady Vash Phase 3.
Phase 3 went by so fast, you just don't even pay attention to it.
I did it pre-nerf, so, it didn't. I did it when it was actually hard. Alright, next boss. Bloodlord Mandakir. Perhaps one of the most original fights we have actually ever seen. It has an ad, but if you kill the ad, there's two ways of doing it. You can kill the ad, or you can't kill the ad. And each of them have their advantages and disadvantages, so there are two ways to do the fight.
You can cough at the boss.
Yes, you can cough at the boss, but it doesn't help. Now, this boss actually levels up when he kills. And if you die, you can be rezzed by spirits, which are in the arena area that you are fighting in. But you don't really want to die, because he levels up, he gets bigger, stronger, and he yells ding. And Jinder the Hexor yells grats. And it's pretty awesome. That boss was really unique. It's got the I am watching you mechanic.
Indeed.
Was that ever repeated?
I'm pretty sure there was, actually.
Was there a watcher?
Oh, there was. Why do I want to say something out of ZA actually tied into it as well?
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think Zul'Gurub might have had something like that. But I'm sure someone in the IRC channel can remind us.
They'll always correct us when we're wrong.
Indeed. And that was pretty cool, because it required all of the raid to be on the ball, as it were. And at the time, he had a lot of HP, and he hit like a truck, particularly if he killed the Raptor. The tank had to have some serious gear in order to do that. But if you didn't, well, if you had two good tanks, you might be able to do it the old-fashioned way and keep the Raptor alive. So, very intriguing.
Now, the reason I like these types of encounters is because it actually got you much more used to, got you a little bit used to, especially if your guild hadn't done MC prior to ZG actually being released.
Yeah.
You could take guilds that weren't so close to that type of gear level, I guess, and you could actually practice having more than one tank actually in an encounter.
True.
And of course, before that, just doing instances like, Skolo and Strat, you didn't really you don't get that kind of experience.
I suppose you're doing Ubers to a lesser degree, but not by much.
Yeah, if you're the hunter and you get to kite.
Yes, indeed. So what do we got next? We've got the Spider Boss. Spider Boss. Not massive amount to say about that, really, except for LOL, how I make web.
Indeed.
How I shot web. Transition boss again, with a heal again. Webs the tank. Goes to another tank, has to be brought back to the main tank. I'm pretty sure that's happened on another boss as well, but I can't remember which.
Kind of similar to Nubercan a little bit, in some respects.
Sort of. Yeah. Not a particularly inspiring fight, I must say, by any stretch of the imagination. So we can go on to the Panther Boss. Panther Boss, what did that involve? Well, the Panther Boss involved... You had to kill the Panther Boss, and Panthers came, and the Panthers would fixate on a particular target. And they would eat that target. Forevermore.
Indeed.
And you were always hoping that it would be a plate wearer or a mail wearer that got it.
But it never was.
It never was. It was
always a cloth wearer, and it was probably you or me.
Yeah, it was always a clothy. That fight was annoyingly random, and I don't believe we've seen anything really like that since. And that's probably for the best, because there was just that silly random element. If it went after a clothy, your healers had to be on double time, and it generally involved you wiping, which was unfortunate. Now, the Tiger Boss involved 3 ads, which all had to be killed simultaneously.
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet, yep, that's one example. Are there any other examples of simultaneous kills? I think there is.
Simultaneous.
Multiple simultaneous
kills.
Yes. I believe there are a couple more examples, I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
It must be a Friday the 13th, because we can't think.
Yeah. Well, I'm ill. What's your excuse?
I've been ill. Actually, my excuse is ginger cookies.
Yes.
And why I'm allergic to ginger.
Yes. We actually found out that Ariana is actually allergic to stem ginger, which was unfortunate.
It was not fun.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course, twin... Well,
4 horsemen, hello!
Yeah. Well, twin emps is not true. Someone just said in here, twin emps. No. The twins had a shared health bar, so that doesn't really count. But yes, Utgard Keep is a good example, yes. The second boss, I believe, in Utgard Keep has that mechanic.
You know, I don't know why 4 horsemen didn't even come to me, because, I mean, I've tanked Blamo more than I would care to.
It's the achievement.
Yeah.
You've got to kill all 4 at the same time, which is stupid, but, you know. Anyway, next boss. Jindo the Hexar. Now, this definitely has been done. This is an early example of a rudimentary form of phasing. Yes, it is. What happens in Jindo the Hexar is, aside from having to deal with totems, which is great fun, it's brilliant, it's a really well-designed encounter, all manner of crazy things go on in Jindo the Hexar, you get this curse, and this curse phases you into an alternate reality, which is something like Sartharian, as you might recall, as well as other basic kind of phasing encounters, like the end boss of Old Kingdom has a similar mechanic. And what happens is, only you can see these things, these shades, yet these shades are attacking you regardless, and you have to kill them. And you have to kill them while you have the curse on you. So yeah, that was reused quite a bit, and to very good effect, as far as I recall.
Yes.
It's a good encounter. Jindo the Hexer, in my opinion, is actually the best encounter in there.
I just like the fact that you've got, you know, skeletons basically headbanging it out in the middle of the blood.
Oh, yes.
It's awesome.
It is win. I mean, there's not even a question about that. And the last boss, of course...
Oh, and it also drops, like, the best headpiece ever.
Which I never got. I waited for over a year for that.
As a troll, you didn't have it?
It's a troll item. Trolls
what,
get
is
priority.
it troll only?
It's troll priority.
It is not.
It's troll priority. The last boss, of course, Hakar. Hakar! I don't believe those mechanics have been reused, have they?
Starting in, poison clouds and...
Well, yeah...
Basically force-feeding poison to
Force-feeding poison to him. I don't think that's been done. But there is the interesting point that he is a very early example of optional hard modes.
I don't know, I think he could also be, you know, the mechanic anyway, as far as, like, you know, force-feeding specific buffs and debuffs. I don't know. In a way, it's sort of kind of precursor to Kale, just a little bit with your weapons and so to speak.
I suppose.
But, I mean, it doesn't really give you the mass inspiration that some of these other fights just really ring true to.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that it is a very early example of the optional hard mode, because if you recall, he has a bunch more abilities beyond what you generally see if you do not kill his High Priest. Of course, no, it didn't give you any extra loot, so no one did it. But killing the High Priest disabled some of his abilities. So it's like hard mode in reverse. Well, it's pretty much, in my opinion, the inspiration for Sartharian.
Yeah. I can go with that.
Yeah.
Well, then you also had, like, for example, loot in AQ40, Bug Family Trio, for example.
Yeah, but Bug Trio you had to kill, but you could kill in a specific order.
Right, but I'm just saying as far as, like, you know, well, they actually did deal with loot as well.
That's true. So yeah, I suppose you could say that Sartharian was kind of like a combination of the Bug Trio and Hakar. It was like Hakar because killing the ads removed some of the difficulty from the encounter, and it was like the Bug Trio because if you did it in the hard way, you know, and of course doing Vemkree and Yauj in a specific order was harder, you would get extra loot.
Either way, it was still a pain.
Oh, it was absolutely still a pain. But yeah, so Zul'Gurub, a interesting template for future content.
Back when content was good.
And we went and did it again, and was the instance still good?
Yes.
Yes, it's really well designed.
We got Zenrock.
We did get Zenrock. Hunter weapon.
Indeed.
It is true. My name is Total Biscuit. You listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Myself, Total Biscuit.
And myself, Ariana.
Hakar is up on his Altar of Sacrifice.
Enjoy.